Let's take a look at some of Elgato's latest offerings. There is the CamLink Pro, launched for $360. It's a PCIe capture card. It's actually similar to this, the 4K 60 Pro, but there are a few differences. This is actually what I'm using right now to record this camera, the Sony ZV-1. The CamLink Pro only records it up to 4K 30 frames per second, as you see right here. This records at 4K 60 frames per second, and there's no HDMI out on the CamLink Pro, where this does. So you can just pass through a connection out so that you can plug something in like a game console, then plug it out into like a monitor, so it'll just pass it through lag free. This doesn't have that. Instead, it has 4 different HDMI ports so that you can put 4 inputs in, 4 different cameras in there. So gamers not going to be able to use this at all, and you're only really going to get use if you're using 4K 30 or less on a camera, and you have a bunch of different like real full-fledged mirrorless or DSLR cameras, or maybe camcorders that you're plugging into this. And that's the main draw of this. $360, kind of a niche product. And then there's this, the Stream Deck pedal. If you don't know about the actual Stream Deck, it's one of these. There's a bunch of these that they have a bunch of different buttons that you can put different shortcuts to. You can adjust your lights. You can do like keyboard shortcuts that you would normally do. You can do notifications, make GIFs on your screen or whatever for streaming. Anything that you really want that's a shortcut on your computer, you can do it with that. This lets you do it without your hands, but with 3 foot pedals. $90, not exactly sure who's gonna really be taking advantage of this. Again, it's one of those things that they really want to kind of milk the Stream Deck. Like if you just look at this right here, it's like, it's tight, I guess. I just don't know how many people are actually really going to need this. I guess it's cool that it's out, but let's move on to the next product. This is something that I actually have and have reviewed, the Key Light Mini. It's a pretty much just a key light, but it's way smaller, much smaller form factor. It's portable. There's 1/4 inch threading on the bottom of it. But as you see, like even in these pictures, and as I talked about in my review, they're so small. And even if you've got 2 of them, they're just really not going to be that bright. The main use case for this really is putting your camera like on some sort of a bracket, or putting this on top of a camera, then like taking it out to vlog or something like that, or record yourself. Maybe for product photography. I actually use it a lot for product photography because it's a lot easier than turning on and turning off the ring lights all the time and setting those up. But you're seeing a pattern here. These are like really niche use cases that aren't really for like streamers. I wouldn't say this is necessarily niche because there are a lot of photographers. I don't know how many would need a light like this necessarily, but in particular for streamers or content creators making Twitch or YouTube content, anything like that, there's not that large of an amount of people that would need this specifically. Also, if you'll notice, these stands that are up here, these don't even come with this device. I don't even think they're out yet as of this recording. Another product that they launched that has actually kind of been triggering me a little bit, how much they hyped it up, is the Elgato HD60 X. And I'll get into the next thing that they really hyped up like crazy. Now this is, let me go ahead and pull this over. Okay, it turns out I actually don't even know where I put the box, but this is a buffed up version of the Elgato HD60 S Plus. I've already reviewed the HD60 S on my channel, and I have this, the 4K 60 S Plus also. Now, the thing that annoys me about this product is actually not the fact that the product exists itself. It's more of the marketing that I've seen on YouTube. They keep on talking about how this says it gives you full creative control and the highest quality capture. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look. This only captures up to 4K 30 frames per second. Years ago, they've already had devices. This, the 4K 60 Pro, like I said, 4K 60 HDR. This, again, the 4K 60 S Plus, 4K 60 HDR, and we're only getting 4K 30. Like, come on. Elgato's tweet talks about how this is the new standard for next gen game capture. The new standard for next gen game capture has arrived. So they're telling me the new standard is worse than the old standard. And there's also like the AverMedia GC573, which that capture card has some issues just because of how much bandwidth it requires. But that's again 4K 60 HDR, and it works with AMD graphics cards. Now I can link this really boring document. This is from the financial results of Q1 2022 of Corsair, which owns Elgato. And honestly, just by looking at this, you can see that Corsair still has a lot of market share in terms of gaming components and then memory. They're talking highly about their HD60 X. I don't know how well that's really going to do, and that they keep on pushing their Stream Deck platform. Though Q1 of 2022, they made way less than Q1 of 2021. Even less than 2020. There's a lot of factors that went into this. Some stuff I talked about in a previous video. The stimulus checks, they're all gone. There's inflation, there's conflict in Europe, and then it costs a lot more to do shipping. So with all these things said, I think it's very important that Elgato can put something out that really just like drives a ton of money to the company. And honestly, what I thought it was going to be was the Elgato FaceCam, which I have right here, and I have on top of my monitor. Actually, I haven't used it in months. This thing actually launched for $200. It says a scratch out on the 169. They dropped it permanently, I believe, and now they dropped it to 150. Man, I wish this device actually looked good and popped off, because I think it would have really transformed the market for Elgato and taken over the Logitech C920 as the main webcam that all the content creators are using. But unfortunately, it just really just does not look that good. It also came out kind of at the wrong time. It came out like right after the webcam rush really ended in July of 2021. That's when things were kind of dying down. And it launched for $200, and it was like, this is when, you know, C920s were coming back into stock. So it's like, and like all these like shots look pretty cool, but if you like really look at this thing, especially in motion, it just does not look that good. Especially compared to stuff like the Logitech Brio or even the Razer Kio Pro. Colors just aren't that good. Sharpness isn't that good. Just not that great of a device. So the question really is, what should Elgato put out next? Well, something that I'd kind of be interested in, because they really have streaming locked down. Some other content creators have talked about this, where it seems like they've kind of locked down all the things. They have a mic, they have a webcam, they have capture card, they have the PC components from Corsair, they have a boom arm, they have lights. They really have everything that you really need to stream. I mean, I'm using a lot of their stuff right now. Their capture card, I'm using their lights. So what else can Elgato expand to? I'd be interested in a dynamic microphone, but I mean, they already have a mic. I don't know how many people specifically need dynamic. If they're looking at a microphone, they might not really even know or care the difference between condenser and dynamic. But honestly, this is just kind of a brainstorming topic. If you were to ask Elgato to put anything else, what would you be interested in? Before, I just wanted to see a really, really good webcam. They put one out. It's not really, really good. So now I'm kind of like, I'm not really sure. What should they put out? What can they do to turn things around? Whatever it is, hopefully it's not something super ultra niche like they've been doing lately. And hopefully they don't just drop the ball like they did with the Elgato FaceCam. Let me know what you want them to put out next.